Hello everyone, it's Joe here from Draft FPL and welcome back to a weekly series helping you find some good value free agents and waiver pickups in Draft FPL. Okay, so game week 1 is here, it is upon us, we are back with the weekly waiver picks and I will be doing this video every single game week throughout this season. So hit that subscribe button if you haven't done so already. Make sure you like the video. Check out the Patreon in the link down below. Today, a load of articles went out for our premium members. We've got the weekly cheat sheet, which in my opinion is the most useful thing you can have as a draft manager, as it rounds up pretty much everything you need to think about for the upcoming game week. We've also got sleeper waiver picks. We've got trade advice coming soon. So hit that link down below, as I know many of you have done so already. Okay, let's get stuck into the picks then. First up, we've got Konsa of Liverpool. He is available in 53% of Draft FPL leagues. And as always, that information is powered by draftfc.co.uk. Check them out and use code SNAKEDRAFT for all your data, Draft FPL data needs, I would say. It's a really fantastic site that uses the Draft FPL API to create some very useful sort of stats pages and data and all sorts. So check them out. Back to Konsa. The Liverpool fixtures coming up are pretty nice. Ipswich away in 1, then Brentford at home in 2, United away in 3 and Forest at home in 4. I do personally think that Konsa is going to start at centre-back next to Virgil van Dijk. He's played there pretty much for the whole of the pre-season whenever they've played the first team. He's much better on the ball than Konate, and I think that is the sort of key thing that's going to make Slot pick him over Konate. There is obviously always the chance that it doesn't work out, but I think for game week 1, Konsa will be in, and I suspect for the long term as well. So I think he's a really strong pickup. To be able to get a Liverpool defender off the waivers is not something you can do every week. So I definitely think that availability is going to absolutely plummet as the weeks go on. In a similar vein, looking at that good fixture against Ipswich this week, I've also picked out Kostas Simas, available in 49% of leagues. It looks like he's probably going to start game week 1. Andy Robertson's had a little bit of an injury problem over pre-season, which meant he was behind on his fitness. He is fit again, as in he's not injured anymore. He did play in the pre-season friendly on Saturday or Sunday, but it was in the second game with like the second team effectively. Simas did start with what we suspect will be the first 11 this week. So there is a little bit more risk in my opinion than the Konsa pick, but if he's not taken, Simas is not a bad 1 week punt. I do still expect him to lose his place eventually, but I think for game week 1 he is, I'd probably give him 75% chance at starting. Next up, we have got Lewis Hall available in 49% of leagues, and I think this is a really, really strong pick. The fixtures coming up are good for Newcastle. They've got Saints at home in 1, Bournemouth away, Tottenham at home, Wolves away. So that, I mean, it's just that game week 1 fixture looks so good. They've got such a good chance at a clean sheet and the potential for attacking returns for Lewis Hall. I was not convinced he was going to start left back towards earlier on in the pre-season, because just Eddie Howe's history with playing like a third centre back effectively in one of the back four, in one of the full-back positions, it just seemed to me like either Lloyd Kelly or Dan Burn was going to play at left back and the other one at left centre back. But the Newcastle fans have come out in voice and absolutely assured me that Lewis Hall is going to start at left back. He has played the vast majority of the preseason minutes. He's been really good, and he looks like just the future of kind of that left back role. So it makes no sense not to play him now while his form is good, while the fixtures are good. So I think he will play. I'm sure he will play. So at 49% ownership, left back for Newcastle with good fixtures, attacking threat, clean sheet potential, especially now they've got Nick Pope back in goal, as they missed him a lot last season where the defensive numbers were poor. I'm expecting good things from Newcastle, especially no Champions League as well. There's like tons of positives, and if he's free in your league, I think he's a really, really good pickup. Finally, for the defenders, we've also got Ethan Pinnock available in 68% of leagues. much more boring of a pick, but I do think, especially if you've got a bit of a rotation going, or you can afford to drop him and pick him back up or bench him. The home games are really good for Brentford. The away games are terrible, which actually is quite a good scenario to be in. But Palace at home in 1 and Saints at home in 3 are both really good fixtures. So I do think that they've got a decent chance at a clean sheet in one or both of those. If you can bench him for 2 and 4, I think a Brentford defender is a pretty good pick. And it's quite hard to know exactly who's going to play other than Pinnock, because both Henry and Hickey, who are fantastic picks when fit, aren't yet fit. Rorslev then will probably start at right back, then probably Ayer at left back, and maybe Collins at centre back if they play a 4-3-3. But then there's Ben Mee lurking around, and it's a little bit murky. So I think Pinnock is definitely the one to go for. Ayer is probably almost certainly going to start at left back as well, so he's not a bad pick. Even Rorslev at right back I think will probably start as well, but Pinnock is definitely the most nailed on. On to midfielders then. First up, we've got Minter of Brighton, available in 57% of draft leagues, and this isn't really a fixtures play. The fixtures aren't terrible, but they're not great. Everton away is quite tricky, I think. It's not a bad fixture. It's a good fixture, but it's not as easy as it looks on paper. United at home in 2 could be good, depending on how their defence plays out. Arsenal away in 3 is terrible. And then they've got a really nice couple of fixtures. It's Ipswich at home and maybe Leicester at home in 5. But definitely 4 and 5 are really good. But to be honest, I'm not even worried about the fixtures. For me, this could be a season-long hold that you really do enjoy owning. He looks absolute dynamite. I think he's going to be a really, really fun pick this season. I don't think there's actually that much competition for him on the right, as much as it appears that Brighton have 100 attacking options. A lot of them aren't really options for Hurtzler, I don't think. Minter's the one that's been starting the press in pre-season. He's the one that's been really showing that this system suits him. And I think he's going to play consistently, and I think he's going to do really well. He's got a real eye for goal. Just looks like a really fun pick. Someone I definitely want to own. I haven't actually managed to get hold of him in any leagues yet so far, but I would like to own him definitely, and I just think he's a really solid pick for the long term. Next up, we've got Jacob Murphy, available in 77% of leagues, and I think Murphy is probably the best 1 week midfield option available this week. I don't think there's anyone else that you could pick up that's got a higher sort of expected return than Jacob Murphy. Available in 77% of leagues. Saints at home is the absolute bumper fixture this game week. Newcastle very strong at home. They're going to press like crazy against Saints, who are trying to play it out from the back in a new league with Alex McCarthy in goal. It screams disaster to me. I think this is going to be, if not a big score, they're definitely going to create a ton of chances. Jacob Murphy's been in great form in pre-season. I'm 90% sure, 95% sure, more than that maybe, 99% sure he's going to start on the right. Whether it's Gordon or Barnes on the left, we're not sure yet, with Gordon coming back late from the Euros, but I'm sure that Murphy will start on the right. And starting in the front 3 against a team like Saints, I mean, St James's Park is the absolute last place that Southampton would have wanted to go on the opening day. You get pressed out of their mind while they're trying to play it out from the back. It just screams disaster to me. So, whether he plays once Gordon's fully fit and Barnes could play on the right, or Gordon could play on the right, or they might sign a right winger, I'm not sure. But for the time being, for the first couple of game weeks, I'm sure he's going to play. And I think he's going to return as well. I think for game week 1, fantastic option. Next up, we've got Oscar Bob, available in 75% of draft leagues. And this one's a little bit more punty. They do have okay fixtures. I mean, game week 1, Chelsea away. We don't really know how that's going to be. It could be a good fixture. It could turn out to be a good fixture, or could be tricky. From game week 2 onwards, they are strong. Ipswich at home, West Ham away, Brentford at home, really strong. Available in 75% of leagues, and he started the Community Shield. He started a lot in pre-season. I think he's going to start game week 1. I also think he probably, depending on how it goes, probably starts game week 2, and that's the fixture you really want him for, that Ipswich at home fixture. On the right, they've got a lot of options, but then when you look closely, they have less options than you think, especially for the first few game weeks once, all their players are back up to speed. So his real competition is Savinho, who's like brand new to Pep's system and team, and I would be very surprised if he gets thrown in from the start. Is it Savinho or Savio? I swear there was a period where I thought they were two separate players. Somewhere it says Savinho, somewhere it says Savio. Always confuses me. But either way, he's competition, but I'm sure he'll be coming off the bench. You've always got Bernardo Silva, who often plays on the right in big games, and that is the competition. Bob is definitely a risk. I do think he probably will start, but there is the chance that Bernardo Silva plays on the right. The thing that's really hampering that is that Foden's not back yet, and Pep's kind of pretty much confirmed he's not going to start this game week. So that means that Bernardo Silva's probably likely to play in the centre, which leaves Bob free on the right. We'll have to wait and see. A lot of people are very high on him, especially the City fans think he's going to, nail down this side. He does look like a real talent. The only thing that is holding me back a little bit from Bob is that how many times have we seen this with Pep in the past? Phil Foden had 3 seasons on the spin where we were like, this is his season, he's going to be brilliant. And he was in and out the team all year, barely got a run of starts. That's what I foresee for Bob this year. But I definitely think the upside is so high that it's worth the gamble to stick him in your team, pick him up off the waivers, bench him this week, see how it goes, and then you've got him ready for that Ipswich at home game next week. Next up, we've kind of got the polar opposite in Rodgers. Available in 58% of leagues. I'm pretty confident he will start on the left for Villa. They don't have great fixtures for the first 2. West Ham away and Arsenal at home. It's not amazing, but from 3 onwards, they're really good. They've got a fantastic run. So, like Bob, it might be worth just bringing him in and playing him this week, benching him in game week 2 against Arsenal, and then playing him from game week 3 onwards when the fixtures are really strong. I don't hate West Ham away. I think Villa probably do score in that game. Probably will be 1-1 or 2-1 either way, you would have thought. So, it's not out of the question he returns this week, and I think I'm confident he's going to start on the left for Villa. They're playing well in pre-season. They've got good pedigree. They were, very free-flowing last season. And what am I trying to say? Scored a lot of goals, basically. And I think he slots right into this system really well. So I think he's a strong pick. I think he's really overlooked. Available in 58% of leagues is pretty massive for someone that's going to be starting just behind the striker in a top 8 team. I suspect by the end of the season his ownership will be much, much higher than that. And finally, on to forwards. I've just got one for you. The forward market at the moment is absolutely stinking. I'm hoping a few signings come in, or there's, some of them start getting consistent minutes or something, because it is rough on the waivers for the forwards at the moment, and this is going to be a very long season of making waiver picks unless something changes. Available in 69% of leagues, though, I do think there is a little bit of an overlook here from Iliam and Dye. When Sheffield United came up last season, he was the player of the season for the year before in the Championship for them and was absolutely fantastic, and he looked like if he stayed he was going to be a really, really good pick. Well, he got bought by Marseille and we completely forgot about him. He's now come back. He's gone to Everton after having a bit of a poor year at Marseille, and no one's talking about him. Yet the season before, it was like if he stays he's going to be a really good pick. So is that just the Sean Dyche effect? I'm not sure. I'm not 100% sure whether he's going to start this game week. There's kind of mixed signals, really. I think if it was another manager other than Sean Dyche, he probably would start, but it's a little bit borderline. So whether I'd actually start him this week, I'm not sure, but I'm confident he will break into the team at some point. I think he's going to play just behind Calvert-Lewin, or instead of Calvert-Lewin when he inevitably gets injured. But I actually think for a third forward, a lot of us have got people that are just not going to play at all in that third forward spot. I think he's actually a lot better pick than a lot of the players that are getting picked, in the drafts way ahead of him. So it may be a wait and see, but I definitely think he's undervalued. Okay, everyone, that wraps up my picks for Game Week 1. I've spoken a bit longer than I normally do. I think it's just because there's so much to talk about in Game Week 1. So I've tried to not ramble on too long, but I've completely failed at that. So if you enjoy the video, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel if you're new, check out the Patreon down below, check out draftfc.co.uk, use code SnakeDraft, and is there anything else I'm forgetting? I'm not sure, I don't think so. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time.